Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 9 of I'm Blaking. This is your host, Cesar Rocha, and I'm so glad we can tune in today. I have been just busy during the weekdays where I just couldn't find a time to record this episode 9. We're here. We're gonna do it. I don't really have much of a structure or outline today, so we're just going to be kind of talking about some things that have been going on in my life. And like always, we begin the show, and I'm blanking still. I am blanking on real estate. I am blanking on auto sales, kind of, the broker side. And I'm blanking now in my new venture of notary. The notary I have officially finished. I'm 100% good to go. I did need to do one more package through the NNA, and it's a loan document test and course, and then you get a little bit extra goodies. So I had to sign up for that. So that was like an extra $300. Woohoo! That I had to spend and to kind of get everything rolling. And the reason for that is because they don't recommend that you get it, but they recommend you to do it because a lot of the signing contracts are online based, and a lot of the signing companies, they do kind of not require, but like to get through their final sign up, registration, they do say to link up your NNA certificate for the loan docs and things like that. So I thought it was a good investment because I got my notary license, and then I was like, what do I do now? How do I begin? How do I start? Where do I start? Luckily, I had another agent in my office, and she is a notary. That's like her primary business, and she's been getting more busy in real estate, which is amazing. And so I reached out to her. She gave me some tips. She sent me some links, and she's open for questions. So I've been kind of texting her some things, and that have been on the top of my mind. And one of the things was the printer. Do I need legal paper? What do you occur in your business on a day-to-day basis? So things like that. So I'm officially done there, and but I'm still, I'm here and I'm blanking, and I've given myself a little bit of time to kind of reflect on the year, since we're around that time of end of the year. We want to kind of business strategize again, get our business plan going for next year. What are we going to do? What are we going to do differently? What worked this year? What didn't work this year? So I've been doing a lot of reflecting. I've been doing a lot more reading, more just novels, and then more business side and more like self-help. And I've been really enjoying that, getting away from, the screen here, and then, being able to read for 15, 20, 30 minutes a day. It's really eye-opening, and I'm starting to understand why people, begin to read and start falling in love with that. So let's begin today with a weekend recap, or weekends actually, because we had two different, I missed 2 weekends. So about 2 weeks ago, I was busy again, just the whole weekend thing. We had what was it? It was, well, yeah, let's see. We had friends over, which was nice. And then we had a date night, me and my wife, which was really good. And then that was about 2 weeks ago. And we just busy, and I had done an open house the week before. And so I wanted to take a small little break, and no opportunities came up. So then we decided to book some things with our friends. And then we decided to do a date night. And then this past weekend was a busy weekend. So if you guys are following me on TikTok or YouTube, you guys see kind of my shorts that I upload. And I just kind of, explained that I was at the Venice Fest. So if anybody was in Venice, off Inglewood, I think, and I forget what the other street was. But if anybody was at Venice Fest this past weekend, hopefully you saw me. I was helping my good friend Peter and his company, Koba Coffee. So they do chocolate and tea coffee bars, and then they make a bottle of coffee concentrate, and then they also do coffee itself with their concentrate. So they'll sell iced coffees and things like that. And his business does really well. He travels every week to go to different markets, different areas to sell his product, and he even sells it online. So his business is really booming. But yes, he does need help sometimes, with people to, just go out there and give out samples and make transactions and talk to clients. And so I think I've been a pretty good fit there because I've had a strong sales background, and because of real estate and all the training there and a lot of the books that I've been reading, business side and self-help, it's really been able to kind of break that barrier of just kind of sorry, I had gotten a phone call, but break that barrier of blocking my motivation to get out there and experience new things and to be able to talk to more people. Because in business, we need to talk, we need to meet others, we need to, explore different cities, we need to explore different businesses, and we need to show face. We need to get out there and attract more business. And the best way to do that is being in face-to-face with people and, helping them out. So that was on Saturday. That was Saturday. And then Friday I had done an open house in Cerritos. And the house is beautiful, corner lot, but the house is really great. It's remodeled really well. Had about 5 families show up, which was good. Some potential clients there. Brought my lender back with me. Really great guy. We have these great conversations every time we go, and it's just been really good. So I'm just thankful for all the opportunities that I've had recently. Sunday, we took it kind of easy, after Friday and Saturday. So Sunday we went to a coffee. I think we went to Tours Le Jour, if you guys are familiar. That's where we went. So the past 2 Sundays we've been able to get out of the house, go get some coffee. We've been doing some journaling. We've been doing some reading, and just a quiet hour where we can kind of reset, get our morning going, and just having that environment of being able to unplug for a bit and do something a little bit different. So that's been really good for us. I started doing these 300 writing prompts where just different questions. It's ask you if you had a lazy day, what would you do? And you would just write everything down. Have you ever been in an altercation or stopped an altercation? Things like that. So it's been really nice to kind of get these thoughts out, or these memories, or these ideas out on paper, which is really nice. It kind of clears your mind. And so that's what I've been doing recently. And with all that, I've just been really exposing myself to newer environments. Even my wife noticed today. Today is November 25th, so she's on break from school. School's out. She's a counselor, so she has the week off, and so we went this morning, and she was like, "Oh, I've noticed that you've been able to talk to more people more easily." And I used to be in sales, so I obviously talking to people was a daily thing, and real estate was a little bit hard because you kind of have to go out there and search for people. But you can just go to any of your local businesses around there. You meet people off the street, people talk to each other. That's how people connect. So she says that she's been noticing that I've been able to kind of talk to people a lot more, just kind of be friendly. And just go to your usual places that you go to. If you get coffee in the morning, you get donuts, instead of just ordering and just saying bye, ask them a question. How long you guys been in business? How long you been there? Oh, blah blah blah. Get their first name. If you're a frequent customer, you guys got to be on that first name basis. So I've been definitely getting out there and putting myself in those situations where I can meet new people, and even honestly too, just to add them. If it's somebody similar in your age group, It'd be like, oh, like, do you have Instagram or something? Like, how can I follow you, or how can I keep in touch with you? It's a little bit easier than getting their phone number, right? So you can always send them posts or whatever the case may be. So that's a good idea that I think a lot of us can do. In these current days where everything is getting digitized and people promote themselves online. It's just it's a lot better way to stay connected, is what I like. So, if you remember from last week, 2 weeks ago, December 14th, me and my friend Brian were having our toy drive. December 14th, 2 to 5 p.m. If you attend, please bring a gift. We're not requiring it, but even if it's something small, we're trying to serve La Habra and Whittier Boys and Girls Club, where they have a lot of kids in need, a lot of kids that can use an extra gift. I think La Habra said that they have about 800 kids that they try to help serve or help the families, food drives, things like that. So there's a lot of kids in need, and obviously getting 800 toys is going to be hard, but everybody that comes through, if you guys can bring one toy or two toys, it'll really help out, definitely. But we have really great news about the toy drive event. We got our motorcycle sponsors, which is Law Tigers, Moto United, and then now we have a couple more sponsors. We have Acai Republic, and that's the Whittier location, Uptown Whittier. They just opened up in the summer, so definitely check them out. They're on Greenleaf, and I forget where else they were, but they're right by where the old Coffee Bean used to be. They're like in that back section. So Acai Republic is one of our sponsors now. They're actually going to be a hub. So for those of you that are listening, or those that have RSVP'd for the event, or thinking about coming, or maybe want to help out but can't make it to the actual event, they're going to be like our hub. So they're going to be in Uptown Whittier, Acai Republic. I don't have the address, but you can Google them, Yelp them, and they're going to be our hub. So if you want to donate but you can't come to the event, you can go and donate a toy at their location, and they'll be able to let us know how many toys we got donated, and bring it all together. So that's going to be our event. We're going to have also some conchas. One of our friends is making conchas. And then we're going to have, this is the cool part, we're going to have an ice cream truck there. Somebody reached out to us. They saw all our events online, and the gentleman wanted to, come by and post up. So we talked to him. Seems like a good guy. Seems like he has a really good truck that's pretty big, like as far as like a following. So we're going to have him there at our event too. It's going to be really great. We're hoping for a big attendance. There's going to be motorcycles there. There's going to be games there. Maybe like one or two games, nothing too crazy. We're going to have some food available. We're going to have some soft drinks. So please come by, check it out. If you want to RSVP, it's very simple. If you just go to Eventbrite, if you haven't used Eventbrite before, it's just like a platform where a lot of events are, live there, and you can pay for them or search them up, whatever you want to do. Ours is free. All you have to do is RSVP, so we can at least get a head count. So Eventbrite, you're going to want to search motorcycle Christmas toy drive. It should just pop up as the first one, and you'll have my information on there. You'll have my friend Brian's information on there. So it'll be a really good time, and hopefully maybe I can meet some of you face to face if you've been watching, or if you're local to Whittier, La Habra, Hacienda Heights, things like that. Come on through on Sunday, December 14th, 2 to 5 p.m. We'd love to meet you guys in person. Speaking of the event, me and Brian, we walked in Uptown Whittier, if you guys are familiar, and we were passing out some flyers there. And sometimes things are just like meant to be, and kind of going back to like meeting people. So we met some good businesses. Obviously we went to the acai spa, we went to a boba place, we went to like a tattoo shop, we went to like kind of like a newer restaurant where it's kind of like a Chipotle type of style, but that's new on Greenleaf as well. And then we were walking up kind of past Philadelphia, and we went to the candy store. If you guys are familiar, that candy store has been there now for at least for like 10 years or more. And I walked in, and I saw somebody behind the counter, slightly familiar. I was like, oh, this guy looks like somebody I know, but I don't know. It wasn't like a deep thought. It was just like, oh, cool, like possibly familiar face. Anyways, introduced myself, gave him the flyer, and then he was like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Caesar." And then he was like, "Dude, like we used to work together." And so I was like, "David?" And he was like, "Yeah." And that just brought like a flush of memories back, like just how young I was when we worked together. We worked together at Quicksilver at the Citadel. I'm not even sure if they still have it there, but I think they should. But oh my gosh, I was like 22, 21, something like that. I had to be, I think. And oh my gosh, it just brought back so many memories of just working there. My old coworkers. I follow some of them still on social media. But anyways, so like we had like a good talk, like how things were going. And then we, switched social medias, and now we're connected on there, and he knows what I do, I know what he does, I know where to find him. So you never know. If you just venture out, you might meet somebody that you used to know, or somebody new, just in general. A lot of people are open to helping, or open just to have that conversation. That's all we got to try to do. Let's see here. That was kind of the highlights of last week. And now let's see what else we got going on. Just real estate news in general. I would say market is still kind of where it's been. The government is now back open, but interest rates are still kind of in that 6 to 6.5 zone. I think they're right around 6.3 or so. So it's still a really good rate than it was like a year ago or 6 months ago. So it's a really good rate right now to start thinking about buying. I know it's the holidays, so I know we're all thinking about saving money, but December, I would say, would be a good time to at least talk with the lender, see what kind of buying power that you have, and then start the new year like strong, get in there, try to get your best offer in there. A lot of properties right now, they're still on the market. They're hitting that 90-day mark. They're hitting that 100-day mark, 120 days. So these properties are looking to sell. Now, for a lot of us agents out there, there are some ways that we can help our clients. Yes, obviously us buyers agents, we do want to get paid, right? But if for some reason they're not gonna accept our commission at that certain percentage, the seller side, try to see what you can do. Accept maybe the lower commission. Try to see if that 0.5% or something maybe can go towards your buyer. Let's try to negotiate that into the deal. Let's that 0.5%, let's use it for closing costs or whatever. I'll take the 2% instead of the 2.5, but let's see if we can try to help my buyer out. Also, you can try to see if you can get a little bit from the seller as well. Try to see if they're able to pay for a buy down. A buy down, can really help out your buyer, and you can come out looking, like a king or queen, right? So if you can get that percentage, that 1% buy down from the seller, oh my gosh, how happy your buyer would be, your clients would be. That saves them, $200-300 a month, and now they're able to, kind of more afford the payments, right? So there's a lot of different ways right now that buyers, can come in the market confidently, knowing that there's certain things that we can do or we can offer or try to negotiate to help them out to kind of get that deal going. Because believe me, these people, they need to sell. You'll see a little bit of houses start coming off the market right now because we're in that winter season. But there are still some people that desperately need to move, and they needed to move 2-3 months ago. And so they are looking to, lower the price. They're looking to pay concessions. They're looking, open to paying for a buy down. They're open to, paying a less percentage, but also using that difference in percentage to you guys, the buyers. So there's a lot of good times right now. Selling side too, great time to sell. You want to put the price to the market. If you price the property out, really good, really aggressive, then you can kind of avoid all those other things where you don't have to pay for this, pay for that. The price will set what is negotiable. You set the price right, you can avoid a lot of these different mistakes. Instead of pricing it high, thinking that you're going to come on the upside, and then in 3 weeks to 4 weeks you got to lower it, 15, 20, 25,000. We could have already started there, and you could have had your property sold, done, and move forward. So that's a good thing right now. I went to the dealership. I went back to the dealership last week. Actually, I went twice. I went at the end of October to get tires and maintenance. And then I had to go back again because there was something going on with my tire. It wasn't like fitted right. So then I had to go back again. But it was really good. I saw all my old managers. I, saw my best friend. I saw my other coworkers that are really good friends of mine. I saw my first buyer there. He's always there on his day. The second time I went back, he was still there on his day off, because you just got to go when the customers need you to go, and that's a full deal. Unless you want to split it in half. But for him, he's got a mortgage now, so every full deal counts. His time counts, the hours count, everything like that. So it was really good seeing everybody. But it was good too because you start getting those questions, right? People will see you and they're like, oh, like how's everything going? Like how's the market? Or it's like, one of my coworkers like, oh, like my dad's gonna possibly retire next year. They're thinking of moving out of the country. What do you think like the house is worth, right? And then so boom, there you go. You have like that quick conversation. You could do a very quick CMA for them. You can give them that estimate on price. And then while I was doing that, my best friend was like, oh, well, what about, the place I'm at, which his mom owns, but they're like renting it, right? And he's far out there. He's like in Moreno Valley. I'm like, oh my gosh, bro. But he's been out there now for like 5-6 years. So he's kind of used to the drive, but yeah, of course he wants to come back down. Like all of his family's pretty much down here. His mom, I'm down here, duh. So, of course he wants to get a lot closer. So then that brought up another conversation where I can do another, kind of quick CMA and kind of give him like a price of where it could be listed at and things like that. And of course, I just tell him like these are estimates. It just depends on the time of when you want to do it, see if there's any changes. But, as of right now, this would be a pretty solid price range between this and here if you wanted to put it on the market right now. And then I show them too, like, a lot of these properties been on the market for like, 14 days, 17 days, tell them about how it's about price, things like that. But then I learned too about, the car market. Like I learned what they're going through, what their buyers are looking for. They told me it's really slow right now, which makes sense, the shutdown. But then also we're getting to the holidays, and the holidays in the car business are kind of rough because people don't have the time to put down payment and pay the payment and then do grocery shopping and then do Christmas gifts and all that stuff. So yeah, it's that slow time of year, but we got to keep our head up. We got to keep grinding. This would be this right now is a perfect time to start setting up Christmas emails, Christmas letters, Christmas texts, all those things. If you're not comfortable with doing one or the other, still, you can get your database, you can get your contact base, friends and family. Just reach out to them. This is a perfect time to start getting that going. I actually do need to order some Christmas cards. I sent some for 4th of July, which was pretty good, and I want to send some Christmas ones out. And they could be generic ones, just Merry Christmas on them, whatever, sign your name, or like me, I'll sign me and my wife the Rochas, and we'll just mail it out. You want to be top of mind. You want people to, at least people close to you, know that you're thinking of them, that they're in your mind, that they're in your hearts, everything like that. I see a lot of my family like twice, 2 or 3 times a year. We have different like events or somebody's birthday, so I'm seeing them really often, or social media, stuff like that. So what's another way of getting connected, right, is just sending them that little card. Even your past clients, if you have some top of mind that you have a really great relationship with, or that you can keep in contact with, your database, if you're in sales, you have their address. You can send them some cards. Even if you just started right now and you have 5-10 years of contacts, just start with the most recent ones that you sold and just start sending them Christmas cards. And the next ones, you can do a different card or something like that. You always want to be top of mind. This is actually something I was talking with my old GM with, was like, I'm understanding now. And I told them too, I was like, I understood, but I was like, I understand it better And I wish I would have implemented it when I was here because we had so much time. And it was just follow up, getting referrals, sending those phone calls, sending texts, sending emails, but sending mail too. Can you imagine if you just started sending mail to every customer you sold from here till the end of the year? That's at least, I don't know, 30 or 40 people, right? And then, after you sell them a car, you just send them a quick thank you card, or, Christmas is here, Christmas card, and you put your business card in there. You know how thoughtful and recognized you would be. And if you're really looking to like receive something out of it, I think that might be the bad way of looking at it, because whether or not they send you a client, whether or not they buy another car from you, it's just one of those efforts that it's a good thing, it's good business. And you never know what can happen. Maybe they come in and they buy two cars from you next time, or maybe they come in and they bring in their cousin, or whatever the case may be. We don't know what's going to happen with all this follow-up, but the point is you always want to be top of mind. If people are thinking like, oh, real estate, oh, Caesar, or people are thinking of like, oh, I need a notary, oh, Caesar, right? Or like, oh, like I'm thinking about buying this car, but I'm not too sure. Oh, Caesar, like I'm really familiar in these markets. Well, notary a little bit less familiar, but real estate and auto, and it's just a conversation, right? Like we have conversations all the time. People ask us questions all the time. You should be open to giving that information, whether or not they do business with you, because we can't do business with everybody. But what we can do is give them a good experience. We can help them understand, their questions, right? We can give them the best advice. And I used to do that a lot. Like people would ask me, hey, what about this car, that car? And I'd be like, honestly, the cars are all really similar. At the end of the day, it's going to come to preference. I like this car because A, B, and C. Or what I used to use a lot was, oh, I'm a big guy, but when I sit in this car, I have a lot of space. And I was like, I've been in a Honda and it's a lot tighter, or I've been in a Corolla and like, the headspace just seems a little bit different. Like, I like Hyundai because, it fits me well. Hyundai has like this type of technology, things like that. But I would tell them like, the cars do the same, but, just this one is a little bit better, or I think is better because of A, B, and C. So that's how you got to do it. That's how you got to approach those situations. You got to be top of mind. You have to do the little things to get you more business. Imagine if you did reach out, once a quarter, every month, doesn't matter. But imagine if you did it consistently, you could be getting those extra deals per year. You could be making extra, real estate deals, buyers and sellers. It could really change your whole career, right? And then how much easier is it to have an appointment versus making one, right? Somebody calls you, hey, I want to come in, check out this car. Perfect, awesome, boom. That's one appointment. Instead of you having to call, hey, do you want to come in? Hey, do you want to come in? How much easier would that be, right? You just start getting a bunch of phone calls to come in, for clients to come in. So that's what I was talking to my old GM about, was the power of, follow up, and then getting those referrals or getting those appointments, because of you just following up and calling, right? A lot of people, they're not receptive to it. They're like, hey, I bought the car. I don't need anything else, right? Like, I'm fine. But watch, every time something happens with the car, who are the first person they call? Hey, I bought this car from you like 2 years ago and something's going on with it. Oh, now they need you, right? After you like followed up with them so much. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. Well, I'm going to kind of wrap this up. I appreciate you, everybody out there listening, to let me rant. I hope that, maybe you get something out of this. Maybe, an idea or two about, follow up. Maybe you have some ideas about buying or selling real estate. And I just kind of want to be an open source for you. I don't look for anything in return. If you have a question, you can reach out to me, you can comment on the video, and I can give you my best answer. And go from there. I'm not looking to receive anything as far as you committing to doing something with me. I feel like there's plenty of information out there that you can get on your own. But if you want to ask like somebody that's in the actual market right now, a question, that would be me. So if you have a question about real estate, got a question about car buying, easy on the questions for notary because I'm just kind of getting the hang of that. But yeah, if you have questions about any of the three things, I'm an open book. And other than that, I'm just looking to really start connecting with more people, face to face, online, wherever it comes from. And like I said, please, if you guys haven't already, YouTube, TikTok, I'm blanking, you can look it up. And just give me a follow, give me a comment, give me a like. Been loving the views, I've been loving the feedback, been loving the comments that I've been getting, and hopefully we can keep continuing this podcast. And I apologize, if it's not so frequent, but I try to do my best. And I'm also going to try to start doing more just recorded shorts, like long form from my phone. I feel like being a little bit more genuine with that, or kind of showing you guys what I'm doing, might be a bit good for the channel itself as well. And other than that, happy holidays, have a good Thanksgiving. Oh, there may not be anything fresh next week because this Friday I'm going to Hawaii with my wife. It's kind of our honeymoon, or it's like 8th month honeymoon, after we got married. So we're going to go do that. So I may not, post anything fresh, but I'm going to be trying doing some recorded long form. All right.